Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. We're at the end of March, we're at the end of month 23, woohoo! I would do a bigger woohoo, but I'll be honest with you all, I'm really tired. I'm so tired, and March has ended in a bit of a crap storm for me. I don't know where to begin today, really. My goodness. I know, let's begin with a slurp of chamomile. I'm on the chamomile to try and calm myself. So, I'm probably going to be jumping around all over the place today. A few days ago, I was chatting with a friend. I don't know how we got onto the subject, but we were talking about motivation, and she was asking me what motivates me. And it's an interesting subject, and I've been reflecting on that in the last few days, as I wont to anyway, but particularly as I come towards the end of any month, I tend to take time out to have a little think about how that month has gone and how I want to proceed with the next month. It occurs to me that, motivation, it's a mercurial beast, isn't it? And I really couldn't pin it down to one thing for me about what motivates me, because obviously there's all sorts of different aspects of life, and there are different motivators for those different aspects of life. There are external motivators, internal motivators. So for instance, with external motivators, you can think about things like time. Time is a great motivator, isn't it? For example, thinking back to uni, an essay deadline is looming. Well, that is motivation to hit the library, get one's head stuck in the books and get writing that essay. At this time of year, for all of us who garden, the change of the season, the time pushing forward, that motivates us to, we get our seedlings sown, we get our gardens tidied and ready, because we're about to go into that big mad rush of April, aren't we? So time motivates a lot. And of course, also as an external motivator, money. I wish it didn't, but it does, because no matter how frugally we live, no matter how self-sufficiently we live, we still all need money. Unless one is a total hermit. I'm just trying to think if I've ever known anyone live totally without money. I don't. But certainly for me, of course, I have to have money. I've got bills to pay. More of which later, and the crap storm. I'm motivated. Some days I'm motivated to do whatever I'm doing purely by the fact that I need to sell something, because I need to generate some money, because I've got a bill to pay. Now, the thing about these kind of external motivators, whether it's a bill to pay, time is short on a project or whatever, I kind of don't like them, because they feel more to me like pressure, and there's a sort of almost a negative connotation with that kind of motivation, that I'm only doing those things because I have to pay a bill, or because I have to have a job done by a certain time. Excuse me, hang on, slap. I'm much happier when I'm motivated to do something out of joy or love or passion or enthusiasm, or those things. So with the garden in general, I rarely lack motivation, because it's such a joy to do it. Maybe that's what motivation boils down to, is it. When we think of motivation, I think what we're thinking about is how to get up and do the stuff that we don't want to do. Because actually, if you think about the things you like to do, so for example, I don't know, cooking a lovely big dinner for a load of friends or family, what motivates you to do that? You're motivated to do that by love of those people, the joy of cooking, the joy of sharing a meal together. So actually, it doesn't really take much to get you to do that, does it? Because you want to. So yeah, like I say, with the garden, I rarely lack motivation to do it. But occasionally, especially if it's a grey day, maybe it's a bit cold, a bit damp, I do have those days when I think, oh, I just can't be bothered. I'd like to just curl up on the sofa and read a book. But I've learned over the years that if I just force myself for a few minutes to get out of the house, get to the garden and just get stuck into something, anything, literally anything, then within moments, I start to get that wonderful reward of the outside time, of just loving being in the garden, listening to the birds, the bees, whatever it is. So maybe that's another thing as well. It's about reward, isn't it? Motivation and reward. Now I'm saying it. Is that reward in the garden is almost instant. Well, it pretty much is instant. There's the longer term reward of enjoying the garden at the height of summer, harvesting the veggies, all of those things. But there is the immediate reward too of just being in the moment in that special place. So yeah, maybe motivation and reward are closely linked. And maybe these other things where we don't necessarily want to do them, maybe part of that is because the reward isn't as great. So back to that analogy, thinking about doing something purely for money. Okay, so take my sewing, for example. I really enjoy sewing, but I hate sewing to a deadline. I like sewing when it's right for me to do it. And in those times when it's right for me to do it, I don't need a push, a shove. I don't need anything to motivate me. I just get on with and I do it. And I think that's partly because I'm not expecting at the end of that day of sewing to sell that item there and then. I'm not expecting that. It's a much longer term prospect. That reward, the financial reward, will come much later down the line. But the reward, the immediate reward of just getting stuck into the sewing, the brrr of the machine, the joy of seeing the finished product, that's gorgeous. I love that. That's motivation and reward enough. But when I have to do something in a hurry because I think, oh crikey, I've got this bill to pay, I need to sew something quickly, or I need to take on a private commission, say altering someone's curtains for them. I do a lot of curtain alteration. I really don't enjoy it. But I enjoy the client afterwards saying, thank you very much. What a beautiful job. Oh, I'm so pleased. I'm really delighted. These curtains are going to go brilliantly in my kid's bedroom or whatever it is. But the actual job itself, I don't enjoy it. It's boring. It's tedious. It's time consuming. And I think part of it is because I'm always doing it under pressure to do it purely because I need to earn some money. Yeah. See, I'm working these things out as I chat about them. That's why I enjoy my little chats with you, because quite often I'll work something out in the midst of the chat. So yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it, motivation? I think if you kind of catch yourself, if you listen to your sort of internal dialogue and you're wondering why you're not motivated by something, or you think, oh, I just can't be bothered, and you continually don't get around to doing something, maybe it's worthwhile thinking about why that job is stagnating and not getting done. Maybe it's because there's no financial gain to you for doing it. Maybe it's not a beautiful job, so there's no sort of aesthetic pleasure to be gained from it. But I would say, and I speak from experience putting off jobs I don't want to do, that actually, in the same way as when I go to the garden when I don't fancy it, sometimes when I force myself to do a job, by the time I finished it, I suddenly feel so much more energized. I feel so much more positive, because it's a weight lifted, isn't it? It's, I finally got that job done. And the energy you get from the satisfaction of just getting it out of the way. I'm not talking about satisfaction because you've done a beautiful job or earned or any of those things. Just purely the satisfaction of getting that job off the to-do list, off your desk, off your mind. What a relief, and so energizing. So, I don't know, I think if you find yourself lacking motivation to do some of those jobs that are outstanding, I think one thing I would suggest, and I do this for myself as well, is, especially as I'm falling asleep at night thinking about the next day, I try really hard to visualise, to imagine that job done, that task done, whatever it is. I work really hard to imagine it. I really try and picture the details of it. I imagine how I will feel after it's done. I imagine how I will feel if I'm, when I'm going to be paid for that job, or all of those sorts of things. And that really, really helps the next day when I wake up and I'm thinking, really can't be bothered. But I recall all those images I created for myself the evening before, and I think, you know what? Come on, let's just get stuck in. It's worth a go, surely. So, in a nutshell, to answer my friend when she asked me what motivates me, I don't think there's any one single thing. And I think motivation and energy are really kind of closely linked, aren't they? So I think if you approach something with really low energy and a negative mindset, you're just not going to get stuck in, are you? Whereas on those days when you are feeling positive and energized, any job seems possible, doesn't it? So, yeah. I don't have a magic wand. I don't have a magic wand for my own motivation or energy. I don't have a magic wand for anyone else's. I suppose one of the reasons I'm sharing with you is, well, partly so that, hopefully you know me well enough by now. There are days when I just can't be bothered. I know that most of the time when you see me in my videos, I'm generally kind of upbeat and excited, and that's always my truth in that moment. And that's generally because I'm in the garden coming to you, and that always makes me, giddy and happy. But there are a lot of days in the month when you don't see me, when I'm not filming myself, when I do really struggle. And I think also living alone, that can be difficult too, because there's no one to sort of G you up. There's no one to share the workload with. So that's kind of tying into my crap storm at the end of the month inadvertently. I've got some issues with the building, some structural issues which need seeing to, sorting out pronto. And probably, as usual in this building, it will all fall down to me to get onto it. So organising builders to come in and out to give quotes, then getting back to everyone, getting the work okayed, and then sorting it all out. So it's going to be time consuming and it's going to be costly. And the two things I don't have are time and money. So I'm really not looking forward to the next couple of weeks of having to deal with all this, because I don't have the time and I don't have the money to deal with it, but I'm going to have to. So making the time to deal with these problems means I'm going to have to sacrifice time elsewhere. So for example, I won't be able to do as much sewing, needle and thread sewing, so I'm not going to make as much money. If I'm not making as much money, how am I going to pay for all the things that need doing? it's a bit of a catch-22. Also, we have a bit of a new legal situation going on with the building, which is also going to take up time and money. I'm going to get a bit emotional now, and I didn't mean to. I don't know what's going to happen with videos next month. I'm going to try to keep videoing on pretty much my normal schedule of about 2 or 3 videos a week from the garden. But yeah, I suddenly feel really time pressured with all this stuff that's going on. And on top of that, I've got some issues to deal with for my great aunt, which is going to be taking me away from London. I was there all day yesterday and day before, a couple of days, I've forgotten. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, it was a 12-hour day and nothing got resolved, so it's a complete waste of a day. So I lost a day in the garden or a day at the sewing machine, and so probably tomorrow I'm going to have to be back there, which means another day in the garden lost, another day of sewing lost, or whatever else I would have been doing. And I don't know how it's all going to pan out. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to get the emotional energy from to deal with it all, but I will, because I've got no choice but to deal with it all. Oh, darn it, Vivi. Anyway, so motivation, energy. I am highly motivated to be in the garden at the moment, more so than ever, because it's a good distraction from stuff. It's just going to be a case of finding the time, but I will find it somewhere and deal with everything. You know, the bottom line is, what can you do in life? There's no point in just throwing oneself on the floor and having a major hissy fit like a toddler, is there? Because that won't sort anything out. So I think what I'm going to have to do is take a couple of hours out this afternoon and just on a massive sheet of paper write down everything that needs doing by way of things that have to be done, as I said, with all these building issues, have to be done by way of my great aunt, have to be done by way of seed sowing, because that's my food, for goodness sakes. And just see how we can fit it all in, and I'm sure I will, because I always do, don't I? No choice. Yeah. Oh. Right, so I'm not going to say any more on that, because I'm going to really properly cry my eyes out otherwise. Oh my goodness. Do you know what? I think it's because I think I probably just do need a jolly good cry, because I think sometimes a really good cry is good. It just lets it out. And I think for the last week or so I've been biting my lip with various things, and actually I should probably, do you know what I might do this afternoon when I'm thinking about getting it all on paper? I might also put a soppy movie on, boxer hankies. Well, not a boxer hankies. I don't use boxer hankies, do I? I use my little cloth ones. Yeah, I might watch a really sad film, let myself have a blooming good cry, afterwards mop my face and say, right, pull up your socks, pull up your boot straps, whatever it is you pull up, Vivi, get on with it. Now, yes, done, set aside, I'll deal with it all. So we're going into April, woo, for the garden. It's the crazy, mad, busy time. What a wonderful time of year. Little seedlings appearing every day. Fantastic. So there's going to be quite a lot of gardening coming up, I hope. But today, and I wanted to have a little quick mention of this today, is it's Mothering Sunday in the UK. Oh, pardon me. It's Mothering Sunday in the UK. Now, I know in other countries you have it, I think you have it later in the year, don't you? But ours is tied in with Easter, so it changes each year according to when Easter is. And I wanted to say a very, very happy Mother's Day to all of you out there who are mothers. And I don't necessarily mean birth mothers, to me, mothers come in all shapes and sizes. And I don't mean fat and thin, tall and short, that sort of thing. I mean those women in our lives, those older women figures in our lives who have taken part in our nurturing when we were younger and even now as we're adults. So for some of you, your mother, it may be a stepmom, it may be your a mum who adopted you, it may be your gran, your great aunt, it may be a sister, an older sister, it may be your next door neighbour who was always there for you as a kid. So happy Mother's Day to all those women who've ever been part of nurturing somebody else. Because that to me is what a mother is. It's someone who nurtures. It has nothing to do with biology for me. And there are people like myself. I don't have children, but that doesn't mean I can't be a mother. So for all of you women out there who don't have your own children but mother other people's children in some way or other, whether it be that you're a foster mum, you've adopted kids, whether you keep an eye on a particular kid on your street, whether you're a mum to your little sister, whatever it is. So nothing to do with biology, nothing to do with any of that. Just a very, very happy Mother's Day to all the women out there who have given love and succour to someone else. Yay, you're all fabulous. We thank you. You see, that's a much happier note to end on, isn't it? So, on that happy note, I'm going to make the most of it and say cheerio to you all. I will see you all again really soon, I hope, probably in the garden. And what I can't quite believe at the moment is the next time I sit here to have my little monthly roundup chat with you all, get this, I can't believe it, it will be 2 years. 2 years. Peace out, everybody. 2 blimmin' years. Amazing. So actually, just thinking about that alone, I'm going to use that thought. I'm going to reflect on how far I've brought myself in 2 years and use that energy to help me get through the next few tricky weeks with all of this trickiness going on. And I'll crack on just beautifully, I think. Yay! So, I will see you all really soon, I hope. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other and just spread some love and happiness whenever you can.